All right, folks, we're about to get going. So thank you everybody for joining us all across all of our offices and that kind of thing. So I got a lot of really cool information, a lot of neat stuff to share with everybody. So thank you for taking time out of your schedule to kind of make it in with me. And I'm going to try and make sure that it's worthwhile your time. So I want to kind of start off talking about a subject which we don't tend to give a lot of attention to, but we really should. So September is Realtor Safety Month, and for a lot of us, we don't take our safety very seriously. And so I'm glad that there is a month that we kind of stop and recognize that we need to be wise about the safety of ourselves and how we behave. A lot of times, especially in times when things are a little bit tough, you're willing to kind of chase down a bunch of different deals and maybe go in places that you wouldn't want to go and do things you maybe wouldn't do. But so please make sure that we're taking our safety into account, because I hate to admit that it's a bad world out there, but we don't know everyone's intention. So we have to be very wise. And so the first thing is if your spidey sense ever kind of goes off, if you feel like something's wrong, it probably is. Listen to yourself. For the vast number of people, if they have had issues, it's because they didn't listen to their heart or their head on their kind of thing. So, I'm all about trust, but verify. When you're showing houses, don't walk in first, open the door, step back, let your clients in first, and never present your back to anybody when showing properties, that kind of thing. Be smart about online presence, that kind of stuff. So please take a moment, pay attention to the environment that we really are. There are a ton of resources. So you can go to NAR and you can find a ton of resources on different realtor safety tips and tricks. They have a pamphlet with 54 safety ideas, but most of it is really just basic common sense. We just have to make sure that we're keeping those kind of things into check. And so you can have all these slides too if you want when we're done. So you're welcome to take pictures if you want, but all the branch managers will all have the slides. So if you want to steal any of these throughout the day, please feel free to know that you're going to get them, and I'd like for you to use them. So it's not, you don't have to worry about it. Please take and use them. So Lawrence Yun, he just came out, and so I'm kind of a Lawrence Yun fanboy for sure. He said there's two factors driving current sales activities: inventory availability and mortgage rates, and neither one are really good for our buyers right now. And unfortunately, that kind of is where we're at. And so, mortgage rates are not our friend at the moment, and we know that, but it's not all terrible news either for a couple of reasons. So, this is kind of where we're at right now. We're in the low sevens at the moment, and no one is really all that happy about it. And so the big question is where are they going? Are they going up? Are they going down? What's going to be happening with the rates? And so, first of all, let me just be really clear. We can only say what we think is going to happen, but like there is no magic crystal ball on this. That being said, these are the projections of all this, like Fannie Mae, Mortgage Bankers Association, National Association of Realtors, and you can see that they all show the projections of the interest rates coming down over the course of the next year. And so this is really what we should be looking at going into the remainder of this year and all the way into 2024. Now, some folks will be like, okay, is that just really about because you want it to be, or is there any kind of basis for fact? I mean, like what's the big driver here? And so what I'd like you to look at is kind of what happens what's the correlation between interest rates and inflation. And so like if you look back into the 70s and even into the 80s, when inflation goes up, what happens to the 30-year mortgage rate? It goes up, right? And then when inflation comes down, what happens to the 30-year mortgage rate? All right, so if you look at where we're at right now, inflation went up. And then the inflation numbers are back down really seriously. I mean, they're down. I mean, we haven't reached the 2% goal yet, but we aren't at the 8 and 9% where we were last year. So interest rates, overall inflation has really, really dropped. But the inflation, so we know that there is a little bit of a lag. Right now we have a negative curve at the moment on it, but we are looking at anytime that inflation goes down, interest rates will follow. And so we do have historical data that kind of shows that being the case, and that's really what we're looking at happening moving forward as inflation gets back into control, hopefully back down to the 2%, that kind of thing. The other thing that we really kind of have going for us is it's an election year. So we're heading into an election year, and right now none of the politicians have really been talking about mortgage rates and that kind of thing. But over the course of the next year, don't you think that's going to be a really big deal? We're going to start hearing about gas prices again. We're going to start hearing about mortgage rates, and we're going to start hearing about all these kind of things. And so there is real data that kind of supports us looking at a little bit lower mortgage rate environment for us moving forward. So I am kind of excited about seeing that happen. Now, on top of that, though, we got a lot of folks that are sitting on a ton of equity, and that's a really great place for us to be, because the reason that that's important for us is that right now, 26% of homeowners say they don't need a mortgage, right? And so about 1 in 4 U.S. homeowners say that high mortgage rates are not an impact at all. They have no issue at all. And so what I want to point out here is that sometimes we get ourselves into this mindset of no one's going to buy at 7%. Well, 1 out of 4 of your buyers don't need a mortgage, and so they don't really care about 7%. Now they don't care, but I mean, like that's not something that's really going to impact them. And so you can see that for our baby boomers, 35% of our baby boomers can buy without a mortgage right now. Even 14% of millennials, quarter of Gen Xers can buy without a mortgage right now. And so this is a pretty to me, this was an eye-opening statistic that really does kind of showcase that there is still a lot of activity going on. We're still selling 11,000 homes today. We'll sell 11,000 homes tomorrow. There's a lot of homes that are continuing to move through. Now, the other one that he was talking about was our housing inventory. So what's going on with housing inventory? And so you can see that our months of standing inventory have stayed pretty much flat, and that's based on supply versus demand. But really, this is what our inventory looks like. If you look at where we were back in 2012 versus where we are now, just on the amount of standing inventory, we are in really, really bad place when it comes to inventory. And so like depending on how you count them, the different companies track data differently. But Realtor.com says that there's about 5 million houses shortage inside the United States. So somewhere between roughly 3 and 5 million houses that we are currently short right now. And at the same time, we have the huge millennial generation that wants to own. So what's that mean for us here in Georgia? Well, right now, our new listings continue to be down. So the top graph is Georgia MLS. And Georgia MLS, we're down 9.8% on our new listings. The bottom is FMLS. And so I pulled this data every single month so we can see exactly what, because a lot of times we show national data, but I also want to show information that's relative to our market here. And so you can see that right now in Georgia MLS, we're down right at 10% on new listings. We've been down all year long. We haven't had a single month where we were, January was the only month that we had where we actually had more inventory this year, more new listings this year than last year. And the exact same thing in FMLS. In FMLS, we're down 14% in new inventory. And on total standing inventory right here, we're down 9% on total standing inventory. In FMLS, we're down almost 13%, 12.9%. So inventory continues to be one of those issues that really is plaguing us, and it's been one of the hard things. So on one hand, we do have a lot of challenges, I know, with the interest rates, but the other side of things is we don't have enough homes to sell. And so there's some things we can really be looking at trying to focus on there. And so now one place that is a kind of a bright spot for us is new construction, because new construction, whereas here in, right now we're standing at about 2.5 months of standing inventory. New construction is sitting at 7. So like just the amount of inventory that we have. So if you have folks that are getting frustrated, is new construction a better option for them? We see a lot more townhomes being built. The builders are trying to build in price points that more folks can afford, that kind of stuff. We see them kind of shifting over to those kind of things. But if you look at where we have more inventory, we have more inventory in new construction than we do in resales at the moment. And so that's looking really good for us. Now, and you can see the builders are building up somewhat. And so what you're looking at here, that black line, that represents the average number of homes that we've built for the last 50 plus years. Now, only this past year is the first time in 14 years that we met the average. Like we are just at the average. It's not like we've blown it away or anything. We didn't improve the average. But this is the first time that in 14 years that we've even been at the average. So we still need, and so when you put all these kind of things together, we have a huge millennial population, all reaching first-time home buyer age. We have more, we already have a shortage of about 5 million houses, and we're only building barely what we need for a minimum amount. You can see that how pricing and it's supply versus demand. We have a lot of demand, even though we have a lot of pressure on us with interest rates. We still have a lot of demand, and we don't have enough supply to meet that demand. So like we need 6 months of standing inventory for us to be able to have a flat market. This is where we've been for the past year. And you can see that, we have half the inventory basically that we need. And we don't see any signs of that really changing. And so here's where we're at in Georgia MLS. We're sitting at 2.5 months of standing inventory, and in FMLS, the exact same thing, 2.5 months of standing inventory. So we need 6 months to be a balanced market. We are pretty much the same, we're a little bit less than the national average on standing inventory. Overall, we're at 45 days on market, which is actually better than it was last year in Georgia MLS. It's in 35 days, which is a little bit worse than it was last year in FMLS. So I know it sounds like there's all doom and gloom, and it, like all of our listing counts, like if you took out 2021, 2020, and 2022, the folks are calling them the unicorn years. That's when everything was based around COVID. It really threw a lot of wrenches in there. But if you look at the last time when the market was normal, we're even very low underneath compared to normal markets. Like if you look back at 2017, 18, 19, which is the most recent data we have, that would be quote unquote a normal market. We're still significantly low, whether you're looking at new listings, active listings, or total listings altogether. And so the positive side of that is just this past month, or actually where we're in right now, we have seen about a 4% increase in listings last month. And so what we're seeing right now is, it may be really early to tell, but what we're seeing is we have a little bit of an uptick in inventory. Now, is this just kind of a 1 month anomaly? We don't know, because just like some of the past years, it's a little bit different. But what you see is we've had a shift in 1 month where our inventory levels are starting to come up, and so that represents a lot of good things for us, because we need more homes to come into the market. And at the same time, demand always tapers off this time of year. We see the demand taper off into November, December. We have listings increase, so we should see some really good opportunities for our buyers to be able to take advantage of it. We're going to be moving more into a more balanced market where the buyers and sellers are going to be a lot more. We're not going to be quite as much of a seller's market moving into the fall and winter this year is really what we're kind of looking at. So because the consumer confidence, as far as that goes, is of what do our consumers think is going to happen with our market? Because when you go out and you talk to your clients and they say, how's the market? What are they really asking you? They're asking you, is my home going to be worth less tomorrow than it is today? If I buy this home, am I going to be upside down? What's happening with the market? They don't care about the volume of sales. They don't care about all this other kind of stuff. Will my home be worth less now than it was yesterday? And so, in December this year, it was 37% of folks felt like prices were going to go down over the next 12 months. But, we've been talking, and that number has slowly worked its way down to where 24% of Americans think that prices are only 24% are going to go down. but we need to keep going on, right? Because 25% of our market still believes that prices are going down. And there's only, especially if we're going into a very political year coming up, that kind of stuff, there's not going to be any good news about housing. Everybody's just going to be pointing out negatives and that kind of stuff. But we need to be the voice of reason that prices aren't coming down, right? I mean, we can't see any foreseeable reason why prices would go down. We don't have enough supply. We're not building enough houses, and we still have a ton of demand on there. And if interest rates do come down, what is that going to do even more so? It's going to, exactly. So we're looking at, so we need to be the person or the people who are out there talking to our folks. So, you go to church with 400 people, 100 of those folks think prices are going to go down next year. We need to be the ones who are out there talking to folks about what we see going on in the market. Now, we have to also make sure that we're taking into account what's happening in Georgia, as well as what's happening nationwide, because a lot of times people see nationwide data. And so like if you look at what happened like over the past year, and whether each one of these tracks data a little bit differently, FHA only tracks FHA mortgages, that kind of stuff. But you can kind of see that we had a minor market correction nationwide. Georgia did not go into the red at all last year. We went down to kind of flat, but some of this is very seasonal time frames. And so you can kind of see, we saw where the market kind of went down, dipped just a little bit nationwide, but then it came right back up. And we have kind of been seeing just very moderate property value increases, which is what we really need in order to be healthy for us moving forward. So, right now in the US, it's about 1.9% property value increase year over year nationwide. In the South, it's overall it's 1.7, but here in Georgia, we're closer to 5% in Georgia on property value increase. And so if you actually look at where we're at right now, you can see that in Georgia, our median sale price is $439 in Georgia MLS, when that's up 5% over last year. In FMLS, the median sale price is $475,000, and that's up 6.6%. So we're up between 5 and 6% year over year here in Georgia. And so again, you don't see those dips that you see. We didn't see those dips that folks saw in other parts of the country, especially out on the West Coast, things like that. So they went out and they put together 100 folks, all big brain people, and said, what's happening with values over the next year? And so these are the projections that they put together, which is that nationwide that we're going to end up at about 3% for this year, about 2.5% next year, and then now on all those, Georgia's in a really great place. We have we have very low unemployment. We're a very desirable place for people to move to. More people, I'll show you some graphs where more people are moving to Georgia than away from Georgia. So we're seeing a little bit better numbers than nationwide, just especially on property values, because I want us to feel comfortable when we are talking to our folks about, no, we don't see property values declining at all. Actually, we see property values continuing to climb up. And so you're either going to be part of the game or you're going to get run over by it. So the other thing that I want you to kind of prepare you for here is that this is what our property value increases looks like on a year to yearly basis. And so if you went back for the last, 50 years and said, okay, how much do prices move every year? What you see is during the summer months, prices move up. And during the winter and fall months, they taper down. And so, you can see that historically, November is just 0.1% increase. So could we see a drop in November of 1/10 or a quarter? But yes, we really can. I try and stress that because we're going into a slower time of year. I would not be at all surprised if we didn't have a month or two where we did dip down, but then we're going to come right back up, because this is a very normal trend or normal pattern for us. There's nothing crazy for us to really worry about. Now, if you want to know where we sat for this past year, you can see that, in January, we were under last year, under the normal average, but every other month since this past year, we've been over the national average in property value increases. And so that's very healthy for us. And as a matter of fact, here in Georgia, over the last 5 years, property values have increased by 71% over the last 5 years. And why is 5 years important? You know, I mean, when's the best time to buy? 5 years ago. It's always 5 years ago. Yeah. I mean, like if you were in the business, like we were in the business back in 2006, 2007, right? And we all saw that markets crashing in 2007, and the sky was falling, and real estate was gone, and there's nothing you could ever do. Who would not love to have bought a house in 2006 or 2005? I mean,
2008.
Yeah, all of that. And so, the values continue to increase. And so, real estate appreciates at about 4.5% per year, every year. So you're going to own a home for 10 years. Well, it's going to be worth about 40% more just out of owning that home for 10 years. And so that's a great place for savings, which is why we have so many baby boomers that are in a really great place right now in the buying market for us, because they built up a lot of equity over time and they paid off a lot of their houses. So it's great to kind of see, and be able to quote that number. Here in Georgia, properties have increased by 71% over the last 5 years. It's right at 52% for the last 3 years. So I mean, that's, and when people say, "Gosh, where are those $200,000 houses?" Well, 3 years ago we had $200,000 houses, but now they're 50% more. So how much are they now? They're $300,000, because that's just property values are continuing to increase, and there's no reason for it to not continue to. Now, I don't see us having double-digit growth moving forward, at least not for several years. But we are looking at just very moderate the standard growth somewhere in that 4 to 6% property value increase range is a very healthy place for us to be also. So. Now our existing homes, now as far as number of sales, this is the one where the real estate community is feeling it the most, because we are seeing where the number of sales is down. However, because prices are up for a lot of realtors, it's not that you're making more per transaction, but you're having less transactions. And so we're seeing where for a lot of folks, that's kind of a little bit of a wash on that side of things. Now here in Georgia MLS, our closed listings are down 11%. In FMLS, they're down 16%. So we're all feeling this right now, that our total volume of sales are down. But again, prices aren't down, those kind of things. It's our overall volume. And I do attribute a lot of that to our interest rates right now. It really is fueling a lot of that. But the interest rates are also helping to fuel even our supply, because a lot of sellers won't sell because of the interest rates. So, and again, I talked about it earlier, but I just want to show what's happened with new home sales though during this same time period. Like we saw where overall sales are going down, but what's going up? New construction. So new construction sales are continuing to increase. And so if you are looking at new construction right now, the builders are building faster than they ever have. And so right now, the average months from completion to sold is 2.3 months in new construction right now. And so we're seeing where the days on market are getting tighter, they're pushing and they're building a lot more inventory right now. And honestly, we really, really need that. So the other place where we're feeling it is in pending sales. And that's what we've been feeling for, because pending sales is a direct indicator, leading indicator of what's going to be coming up in the next few months for the real estate market. And so we're seeing that, right now we're down in the South about 10.5% or 11%. Here in Georgia, pending listings in Georgia MLS are down 18%, and they're down 20% in FMLS. And so that's why I said it wouldn't surprise me if we didn't see things taper off as winter and fall come in. But again, we're talking about the volume of sales. We're not talking about property values or any of that kind of stuff. So make sure that we understand that because we can feel very down about the number of sales, but for our buyers and sellers, do they care about the number of sales? No, that's a non-issue for them. So we don't need to be talking that message to them, because we need to make things easier for them to understand. And that's the point, is that, for a lot of our clients, that top box is what the market really looks like, right? And so, you know, like, and you know, well, I mean, it's very much true, you know, like, oh my gosh, everything, you know, like the sky is falling. There's so much data coming in so many different places. Can I make heads or tails of it all? You know, what do I do for that? We need to be the ones that really kind of simplify things, talk about what's really important. And so for our sellers, what's a great talking point for our sellers, you think?
They would
How about
the value of their home.
yeah. How about if we stop calling things calling it a CMA? Right? Because first of all, we use our jargon that none of our clients understand. And then they don't know what a CMA really means. But how if I said, I was going to give you an equity assessment on your home? I was going to do it. Hey, I got an equity assessment report for your property. Is you as a homeowner, would you be interested in seeing that? How about if I said, hey, you want to see a CMA? And if you're not in real estate, you don't, I'm good. I don't, you know, like it could be an STD. I just don't know what it is, right? So, but you know, like who out there would not want to see what the value of their home really is? And so I'm going to encourage you not to use the word CMA, to also look at reaching out. Now is the time to start talking to people about how much their home is worth, how much equity that they built up in their home, because when the time is right and the time is coming that we're gonna, you know, we are gonna see interest rates going down, we are gonna see the market heating back up. The folks who are taking the time to engage with these sellers right now, they're gonna be the ones who are really reaping the benefits and reaping the rewards as this market continues to shift more onto that side of things. And so when you go in and say, look, I estimate your value at this is your payoff, this is how much equity you have, that is a very powerful statement. And when you do that with clients, you have built trust that is just beyond description, right? You went way above, can I show you a house? Right. And so being willing to take the time to do an equity assessment, and again, it doesn't have to be that word. It's more about, don't use the word CMA. You know, show something that like I want to show you how much your home is really worth in this market, how much equity you have built up in your home, so that when you're ready to make a decision, you have the knowledge that you need to make those decisions intelligently. Does that make sense? All right. Now, I think that's something that we should really be focusing on heading into these fall months, because our sellers have a ton of equity. It puts us in a very, very positive light when it comes to that. Now, for our buyers, so Zillow and Fannie Mae both had a couple of surveys come out, and I want to share some of this information with you. But the first thing is, which group represents the largest percentage of our buyers in our current market? Boomers.
Boomers.
What?
Yeah.
See, now when I say who's the biggest buyers out there, everybody thinks millennials, because they are the largest population group. And they do want to buy. I'm not saying that they don't want to buy, but what's hurting our millennials right now? Interest rates. All right, like our millennials are coming to the table, and they're the ones facing the 7% interest rates right now, and they're having to come up with large down payments, and then that big monthly nut. Now, what do our boomers have?
Equity.
Yeah, so many of our baby boomers have equity. So if you're doing things like those equity assessments I just talked about, does that help you to become a buyer at that point? Well, what we're seeing is right now, 40% of our buyers are baby boomers. I mean, that's a very, and I hope that really sticks out, because a lot of times we think boomers, we just think sellers. But the boomers are our biggest buying segment at the moment, because you know, whoever has the most money wins, and right now they have the most money. They're coming to the table, and so we even looked at it earlier. What percentage of our boomers don't even care if they don't even need a mortgage? Like a third of our boomers don't need a mortgage. So you can see why they've moved into a very powerful position in our marketplace. And so being able to talk about equity, carrying those kind of things forward, don't worry about mortgage rates when you've got built up a lot of equity. That's a really great talking point to be had out there. And so we've seen where the millennials are tapering off. Now, I'm not trying to paint a picture that the millennials are gone. They aren't. But the millennials are heavily influenced by interest rates. That's gonna, and as we see interest rates tapering down, who's going to be the one who really starts coming to the forefront then? The millennials. They are just sitting in the background, licking their lips, waiting right now. And so they're saving up money, doing all those kind of things that they really need to do. So, but I want you to see where the market is now, as well as where we're kind of heading to. I do see that as interest rates come down, we are going to see the millennials be a really big deal. But don't miss out on the fact that our boomers are a really big player for us right now. So where are they moving from? And so this is well, what you're seeing are all the areas in red and pink. Those are areas where people are moving out of. More people move out than move in. What do you know about Georgia, in our area of Georgia? Blue. Yeah, we're getting more people moving in. So we have a positive net inflow of people moving into Georgia again. So this is one of those things when I said, why are we better than the national average on a lot of things? Well, we got more people coming in, and that's continuing to help drive and motivate our market going forward. And so the other thing I want you to be able to do is I want you to be able is talking to, I just mentioned millennials, but is talking to millennials difficult right now about home ownership?
Yeah.
It is. And so we need to be able to speak intelligently about that, though, about is it still worthwhile buying?
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's very easy for us in real estate. Of course, it's worthwhile buying. But let's look at really, what are the benefits of home ownership kind of thing? And so Fannie Mae did this big study and said, folks want to feel that they live in a place where they feel safe. They want to live in a nice home. They want to live in their budget, and they want to have less stress. All these are really positive attributes of home ownership. The other thing is, when folks said what's the good life? 6 on the good life is owning a home. Folks want to be financially secure, good health, location they like, work-life balance, and owning a home. That doesn't change with interest rates. That doesn't folks still want to own homes. And that's the thing is, even though I say, pending sales are down, this is down. Don't get into this idea that folks don't want to buy. Yes, interest rates are a challenge. We have to do everything we can, whether it may be 3-2-1 buy downs, 2-1 buy downs, down payment assistance programs, being able to help with anything that we can on that side of things, but folks still want to buy. And so, went out there and they said, these are a percent of people who said it's better to own if you want to have control of your living space, having a sense of privacy, having a good place to raise your family, having the best investment, better off financially. All these are great talking points. These are all things that resound and will pique the ears of your sellers. So could you go into ChatGPT and put any one of those topics in and ask it to write out an article for you? Then you can put that on social media. These kind of things, these are really good talking points to be able to use on social media, into your database, that kind of stuff, because it can be very down and very depressing. But what happens if a millennial buyer decides not to buy right now and they want to buy next year? What are they going to do?
Right.
They're going to spend more money this year is what they're going to do, right? And so wealthy United States tied up in home ownership. So the longer it takes them to own homes, the longer it's going to take them to build wealth out there. And so home ownership remains the #1 feature of the American dream. Regardless of interest rates, what's happening, buyers, sellers, owning a home is the #1 thing. When folks say, what's the American dream? I want to own my own home. That's the big one out there. And then also, what's the best long-term investment?
Real estate.
Real estate, right? So in addition to that, when you have a fixed mortgage, why are so many people not wanting to sell right now? Because they have a fixed mortgage, right?
2.75.
They do, but has inflation hit them as hard as other folks? No. And so I do know that rates will be coming down. We will see folks who have bought recently. They will be refining in the years coming up, that kind of stuff. But you really do fix your expenses in there. But it is a really great investment. The more millionaires are made through real estate than through anything else. And for the average American, their wealth is tied up in their home. Home ownership is the path to investment. And so, and no matter what, building wealth is always important. So if all Americans, 85% of Americans say building wealth is vitally important. And the number one vehicle for doing that is owning a home. Should we be talking about that more? Yes, it's a challenge. Yes, we have obstacles. There's headwinds for us for sure. But we need to be ready to kind of handle those and to be able to countermine that and to speak intelligently about what we're seeing. Now, one other thing that we're seeing is buyers really want floor plans, right? 82% of your buyers want floor plans. How many of the listings that you see right now have floor plans in them? Not many.
No.
There's some, I mean, and now they're free in Georgia MLS through Cubicasi. And then you can use that same thing in FMLS if you want to. You can get free floor plans through, and I'm not sure if I'm saying Cubicasi right or whatever, but they're free in Georgia MLS. Right now, a vast majority. So if you want more people to see your home, and you're a listing agent, please be putting floor plans in there. It will really help for you on there. Now, what are our buyers doing right now? So buyers are going on virtual tours. They really like to go on virtual tours. So as listing agents, should we be doing more virtual tours? Yes or yes? Yes. The average buyer also has visited at least one open house. And so I hear all the time, I hear the great debate between, should I do open houses? Should I not do open houses? Are open houses a waste of time or are they not? Well, the average buyer attends one open house. And the vast majority of those, they're doing it before they're represented. No, they may say that they have representation. They say that to get left alone, that kind of stuff. So doing open houses, virtual tours, those kind of things are really good ideas for us as listing agents to be able to attract more buyers. Because a lot of our buyers are coming to these kind of things and really engaging in it. So now here's a negative. So in the past year, a quarter of buyers broke up with their real estate agent. Right? I mean, like that to me is a very startling number, right? That 25% of buyers dump their agent. Now, do you think that that's the buyer's fault? Well, I mean, this is one of those like we don't have a lot of data on this, but we do know that right now more buyers than we've ever seen are dumping agents. And the reason that they say it is they're saying that my agent didn't do much work. And I'm having to kind of read into that. And so the first place where I'm looking at is, are we communicating? Like I feel like especially like if you have a buyer and it's, I got a buyer, I'm looking for $150,000 house. Well, there aren't any, right? And so we don't communicate anymore. And so because we can't, like at that point, it's when, okay, are we going to start looking at modular or mobile homes? Are we going to start moving into other areas? Are you opening to going into this area of town? Like continuing to communicate, talk, and have those kind of conversations is a big deal because we're seeing more and more buyers dump their agents right now. And it's very easy to say, well, buyers are fickle or they're not very loyal or yada, yada, yada. Or we could say, maybe it's that inventory is really tight and it's just much easier just to kind of shove our heads in the sand too. Like, can we up our engagement here? Because I don't want you to be losing clients. Right now, there's a big shift where buyers agents are losing buyers. Right. And so I don't want that to happen to you. So it's time to go back and revisit. How are we reaching out? How are we engaging with our buyers? What does our communication look like with our existing buyer pool? And we have to be honest about what the market is, right? Like I just can't produce that $150,000 house, 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom house for $150,000. It's not there.
And a good school district.
And yeah, on the lake. Yeah, exactly. With a boat. So I know that that's not there. But that being said, we have to start exploring our options. We have to be realistic about what they can do. Maybe they can't buy, and that's okay. But then at that point, you should be part of that decision with them. Not that they just I hate seeing that a large group. A quarter of our buyers are dumping agents. Is one of those things I find disturbing out there. Now, another big trend here going on, pets. More of your buyers have pets than have kids, all right? Yeah. 78% of your buyers have have a pet, only 40% have children. So, yeah, in the house, okay?
Yes.
In the house, okay, I'm not saying they had kids, they all have kids in the house right now, only 40%, and so. It used to be, it was always all about the kids, all about the kids. Do we have to start paying attention to it being about the pets sometimes? Yeah, because right now, humans have the money, but the pets are choosing the house, okay? And so the younger that the buyers are, the more influence, just statistically speaking, the younger they are, the more influence they're gonna have over the buying decision. And if you're old like me, and you're like, you're gonna let that cat tell you what to do, are you nuts? Like I can say that, but then there's also the reality of, okay, you can choose to not believe the data, but then is that really gonna hurt you? Now, for our listing agents, and when you have a listing, can highlighting pets and highlighting fenced yards, things like that, that could be a great standing feature. Used to be like a fenced yard may not have been that big a deal. You put a fenced yard now, all the dog lovers are gonna be very interested in your house because it's got a fenced in yard.
Sometimes they're gonna pick that house because it does have.
Because it does have a fenced in yard, that kind of thing. So make sure we're highlighting on that, but do understand that the power and the influence, as strange as it has, that pets yield. Like before we had kids, they were our babies, right? And they still kind of are. I think our kids would like to, be reincarnated as some of our pets, so. What's happening in distress sales? Are we seeing foreclosures come back on the market? Well, first of all, if you're in trouble in a house, are you just gonna let it taken back by the bank? I mean, we just looked at like here in Georgia, we had 71% property value increase in the last 5 years.
That's
the thing, and so.
Find yourself cheaper.
Right, but it never fails. We get all these folks who are talking about this foreclosure crisis coming, but foreclosures are back, and it's all because if you look at the bottom right-hand corner over there, we had a foreclosure moratorium and an eviction moratorium, and then the numbers went back up, right? And so when you say, well, you know what? From 0, they went up 300%. But look at where we were to where we are now. We're still at some of the historically lowest percentage of distressed properties out there. And on top of that, properties that are really, they're called seriously delinquent properties. These are the ones that are getting sent into foreclosure, going to the courthouse steps. Sometimes they send them to the courthouse steps just to kind of shake them a little bit. That number continues to drop. It's not going up. We see no indication that it's moving up at all on there. And so right now, shares of mortgage loans and forbearance are down another almost half a point are down again. And so we're seeing where less and less and less and less. Now, for those folks who went into forbearance, because there was a lot of folks say, well, all those folks in forbearance, they're going to lose their homes. Wrong. So only 1.2% of the folks that went into forbearance actually ended up losing their home. I mean, I found that was really, really crazy because you can add up, 35% paid in full, 46% will work out of repayment plans. Only 1% of all the folks that went into forbearance actually ended up losing their property. Because all these folks had what? Equity. We're always going to have, and even though the sad thing is that for a lot of folks that do lose their homes, a lot of them still have equity, especially in this market. It's just that they shove their head in the sand. They don't want to deal with it. It's just easier to not have to deal with, kind of thing. And just in, especially for those of us who were in the market in 2007, 2008, we saw a lot of people shove their head in the sand during that time. Folks just don't want to deal with it. It's very emotional. They don't want to, it's very personal. They don't want to talk to strangers about it, that kind of thing. And so I totally understand, but that's not what we're seeing happen. And so when you get the folks who are calling you saying, hey, I'd like a list of foreclosures, I want to see what's going on, and do you have any distressed properties, and I'm looking for off-market properties. Why would a property be off-market right now? Only if only if there's a reason for it to be off-market, right? Because who's like, you know what, I just don't want as much money as I could get for my home. It doesn't make any sense. So just be honest, you know, like what's going on. These are folks who are definitely fishing and looking for it out there. All right, I want to change gears and give you a tip and kind of wrap up with this today. And so, anybody heard about Dwight Eisenhower? He's an old president of ours, kind of thing. And so he, first of all, he was a U.S. Army general, and then he was the leader of the Allied forces during World War II, and the commander of NATO, and then eventually he became president of the United States. And so he developed this thing, and it got named the Eisenhower Matrix. Now, when he was using it, he didn't call it the Eisenhower Matrix, just like I wouldn't call it, the Allen Matrix kind of thing. But this is something that he did to prioritize and be able to process a lot of information and prioritize what's really important. Because I see it in real estate, there's a lot of us that are very busy. And I see a lot of folks that will be very busy, but not real productive. And so there's a difference between being busy and being successful. Like, I know a lot of busy realtors, but you got to be successful. And one thing that, and so like if you read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, this is it. This is one of those things that's in there. I want to share it with you. And so what he does is he breaks it. This is the Eisenhower Matrix, right? And so all you do is you take a piece of paper, you draw a big X on it. In the top left-hand corner, well, up on the left-hand side, what this is this top, these are things that are important, right? At the bottom, these are things that aren't necessarily important. Right here, these are things that are urgent. Over here, these are things that are not urgent. And so you go through, and in the urgent box, these are things with clear deadlines, things that you have to get done, things that will have consequences if you don't get these done, things that will impact you. So things like making your phone calls, calling your past clients, filling out the contract, sending off of those things. These are things that you have to do. These are urgent in here. Now, not urgent, if it's something that's important, but it's not necessarily urgent, schedule it. Because then when that time comes, it will fall under urgent because that'll be part of your schedule for that day. But not urgent, you're going to schedule it. So there's going to be activities that you can, they are important, but you can schedule them to be able to handle them when the time is appropriate. So things like coming to a sales meeting, taking classes, that kind of stuff. When you're going on showings, those kind of things. Those are important, but you can schedule those ahead. Now down here on the bottom, you got things that are not important, but they're urgent. Those are things that you can delegate. What are some of those tasks that you can give away that you can have somebody else take away, whether it's a transaction coordinator, things like that can make your life better. And then what about those things that are not urgent and not important? Because we have a lot of those in our day. What do we do with those? Delete it. And that's the hard one, folks. Like that's the really tough one over there, is getting rid of the not urgent, not important things. Because most of us, this is how our to-do list kind of looks, right? We have this big to-do list that kind of varies between I get this like me especially. I'll make like 4 to-do lists because I lost the first 3 kind of thing. And so I'll have this to-do list, and then they're kind of all over the place. But the whole idea here is that you take that to-do list and then you turn it into the Eisenhower Matrix, right? Because then what you want to do is you want to take that to-do list and then you want to put it into, these are the things I need to do. These are the things I need to decide about what I'm going to do. Go ahead and schedule those kind of things. Move other things over into what can I delegate that's on my list over there. And then what, and like on your to-do list, this is and honestly, the hardest one for most folks is on your to-do list is to delete things. Like what things can you just not totally do without? You'd actually be surprised when you look at, when you start looking at your list and you say, is this important? Important. Is this important? And is this urgent? Because if it's not important and it's not urgent, can you just get rid of it? Now, maybe it may come up on your list later on down the road or something like that. But when you start doing it this way, what do you think starts happening? Well, what are you going to start doing? right? Because a lot of times, like, especially with like to-do lists, what do we like to do with a to-do list? We like to check stuff off, right? Like I've actually written stuff on my to-do list that I did just so I could scratch it off, right? But was more than likely, was that urgent and important? Probably not, like maybe it was something I could have deleted or something I could have delegated, that kind of thing. And so, well, the thing is that like, if you look at it, like, these are all the things, especially when you take your business, for example. I want to do this, I want to add this lead system, I want to work on this, I want to try and engage with these kind of buyers, I want to do this with my sellers. Those are important and urgent things that you need to do. But a lot of times it'll be, well, you know, I'll go on social media and just scroll through, you know, for 7 hours. Now, I'm not saying 7 hours, but you know, sometimes we'll sabotage ourselves on there. We'll call it work. I'm doing social media for real estate. Really? How much you get off real estate and a social media on there? So the whole idea here is to take those to-do lists and consider turning them into the Eisenhower matrix, where we focus on what's really urgent, what's really important, delegating things that aren't, scheduling the other things out there, and then getting rid of those others. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys very much. You know, I kind of want to just bring everyone up to speed on the market, what's kind of going on. I want you to have what you need to be able to speak intelligently about what's happening in the market, what we see going on, new things happening out there. So I appreciate you taking some time today. I did want to kind of celebrate all of our producers, all of our top producers all the way through. And so we're gonna kind of go down into just the local markets now, and just gonna have some conversations with ourselves. But thank you guys very, very much, and I love y'all and appreciate you. Thanks.
You can.